Maurine De La Paz, I consider you to be one of my dear friends as well as a peer in the P2 College of Pharmacy at Purdue. Thank you so much for being here today, willing to share your story.
Yeah, of course.
So you're from Guam. Tell us about your childhood growing up outside of the continental United States.
Well, actually, I was born in Indianapolis. I grew up here until maybe like 4th grade, and then I moved to Guam, and I lived there for about 15 years. Growing up on Guam, it's a real tiny island. Like, I think our population's probably like 150,000 people. Our schools are usually composed of like people who look like me. So it was like 30% Chamorro, which is like the Guam indigenous people. And then the other 30% was mostly Asian. So that's like Filipino, Japanese, Chinese, etc. So it was really nice to grow up with students and teachers who like kind of look like you. And you're just like, okay, it's my little family. We don't have a lot on Guam. Like, business-wise, we don't have a Starbucks. We don't have a Dunkin' Donuts. We don't have a lot of things. But I think it was more of like a community, like a family, like culture where we were all like working together when it comes to like typhoons, pandemics. Overall, I really loved living on Guam. There's like a beach, like an hour anywhere you go. And yeah, it was a really big culture shock moving back to Indiana because like everyone was kind of, I feel like everyone here is kind of more like individualistic, or like they focus on their own path and roles and stuff. But on Guam, it's just family, like we all look out for each other. So that's something I'm still accommodating to, or like adjusting to now.
I really loved hearing you talk about how Guam is an island and like the size of it. I live on the biggest island of Rhode Island, and so now I really want to know like what the size difference is between the two places. Because you were saying it's like 1,500 people, right?
Like 150,000.
150, yes. I'm so bad at numbers.
No, but like, okay, how big is Rhode Island? Because I don't know how big.
There's maybe like 1 million people that live in the state, but the state is like, there's the island part, and then there's like the land part, and I'm on the island part. I'm one of the island parts. So now I'm just curious how many people are on my island. Because like, how big is Guam, like size-wise, not people-wise, like size-wise?
So like size-wise, I think the longest part of Guam, like top to bottom, would be like 30 miles. And then lengthwise is kind of weird because we have like this like skinny waist of an island, which is like 3 miles only. But then the biggest part of the island would be maybe like 8 to 10 miles. Okay. So we're real tiny. Like, we know everyone. Like, it's kind of bad, but it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like my island's probably the size of like Lafayette and West Lafayette combined. I don't have any facts to back that up.
Okay.
But that's how I feel about it in my heart.
I think Guam is smaller than the city of Indianapolis.
That's crazy.
I like driving from Indianapolis to like West Lafayette is longer than like the length of Guam. Like, I'm still getting used to living in such like a big state. Like, I'm like, what? You can drive and there's no ocean that you're gonna fall off into?
I know. I remember because I drive here like at the beginning of the fall.
Yeah.
In my first year, we were driving the long way through Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
It was the first time I had driven outside of New England. I was thinking to myself, I was like, when does it end? I was like, it's been days. It was 5 hours, but I was like, it's been days, and I'm still in Pennsylvania. And everything just gets bigger after here.
It does.
And it kind of scares me. I'm like, I live on a tiny island, and I'm looking at the continental United States.
You're so used to like going from one point to another point in only like 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
The fact that like I have to wait in a car for 2 to 3 hours to get to Indy now, I was like, that's like going around Guam like 3 times.
Yeah, and we're still in the same state. I can get from one end of Rhode Island to the other end in maybe an hour.
Yeah.
Now I know that being an athlete was also a big part of like growing up for you. So why did you relate to track and field so much?
So it's kind of funny because in elementary school and in middle school, I was not athletic at all. You could not make me run a 5K. But then I joined, when I went into high school, all my friends are like, oh, let's try track and field. And I was like, okay. And when I went in, I absolutely hated it. But, well, like the distance part, I hated like the running distance part. And then I found out there were sprints, and I found out there were hurdles, and I found out I could jump over things, which was really fun for me. It was funny because I was the only girl who joined hurdles and high jump, because I think on Guam everyone's like small. We're like 5 foot max. So everyone was too scared to jump over the hurdles and high jumps, and the fact that I was the only one brave enough to do it really resonated with me. I think it also gave me like this kind of strength, because like I was doing the things that everyone was afraid of doing, and I was doing the things that you get injured the most. I mean, you're jumping over a actual thing. I've fallen on my face probably like a million times, but it was great. It was fun, the adrenaline. So yeah, track and field has a place in my heart that no other sport can replace, not even football.
Have you ever played football, or are you just a spectator?
Even when I watch, I have no idea what's happening.
That's very fair. That's very fair. I relate to that too. All right. So can you elaborate on your competitive experience with the Guam National Track and Field Team or other high-level competitions you've been in?
So shortly after I joined track and field in high school, I think maybe in my sophomore year, they told me to apply for the Guam National Track and Field Team. And I was fast enough to be able to get on the team, which was amazing. So they flew me out to my first competition. It's in Pohnpei in Micronesia. It was the 2016 Micronesian Regional Championships. And it was such a great experience for me. Not only because I was like representing Guam or like my island, it was just like the camaraderie between my team as well as with other like Micronesian, Polynesian teams. It was so fun, and it's so bad because in Pohnpei, usually hurdles are made out of plastic. Theirs was made out of wood. So if you hit the hurdle, it's just a huge gash, and I hit a lot of hurdles. I think there I was also one of the only girls doing hurdles and high jump, and they actually awarded me the 2016 Junior Female Athlete Award. That was my first competition, and they gave me a little trophy, and I was like, what? No, I don't deserve this, please. I take it back. But it was such a positive experience that I was just like, I'm going to keep doing this. So from 2016 to like maybe 2019, I joined the Micronesian Championships in Pohnpei. There's another one, there's another championship in Saipan, and then I was able to compete in Australia for the Oceania Championships. And running against girls who are like 6 foot, 7 foot tall, like they're not even jumping over the hurdles, they're just like walking over them. Although I didn't get the placings I want, I didn't get the medals that I wanted to. It was just, I actually like did like a personal record because I was running against those like really fast girls. So I did my best like personal record in the 400 meter hurdles and the 100 meter hurdles. So again, love the experience. I feel like my coach back at home wants me to get back into it. And I'm like, please wait, let me finish PharmC, and then maybe I'll come back.
Yeah, that's incredible. I have zero athletic skills, so just hearing you talk about it, I'm so impressed. That is so cool. I love that. I love that a lot.
Thank you. I tried my best. I'm retired now. Retired.
All right, so switching gears a little, another one of your passions is pharmacy, which is no surprise, obviously, because we're here today. Could you tell us how you got interested in pharmacy?
So when we moved from Indiana to Guam, my mom was a pharmacy technician. We couldn't really afford a babysitter, so she would just pick up me and my brother from school and then take us to the break room of the pharmacy. So I grew up in the pharmacy. Yeah, like I think maybe like from 4th or 5th grade up until like high school, I was just like in the pharmacy break room. And in high school, I had to do an internship for a marketing class, and I was like, I could work in a pharmacy. I could just ask my mom, like, hey, can I follow you to work? And they brought me in, and they let me like pre-pack medications, like just count 30 of amlodipine the whole day, or like label or look for expired medications. And I don't know, I really saw myself like the community that was there, like the pharmacy technicians, and like the career overall. It was just like, I could do this. And it's like, I love talking to people, and I love helping them, like if they like need something. Like I felt like, oh, I could totally see myself doing this for the rest of my life. So yeah, I just started working at started working at my mom's pharmacy first, because obviously I did the internship, and they're like, oh, you're a good worker, okay. And then I started working like volunteering at the Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center, which is like a psychiatric center for people who are struggling with substance use disorder or like mental health disorders and stuff. And I really found a passion there, because like the patients there, for some reason, are so much nicer than retail pharmacies. Because I think it's because they're going there because they know that they want to get help, they want to like get better, and they're like just so much more polite. And just like I found a lot of the people who were picking up like Suboxone, you know, like for substance use disorder, when I was dispensing, they were like my age. They were like people who not that I knew, but like who I could see like being friends with. And I was just like, Guam, and I guess America in general, has such like a big problem with drug abuse and addiction that I couldn't just turn away and not look at that. So that's a really big passion of mine, to help those who have like mental health disorders as well as like substance use disorders. And I've personally, in my family and with me myself, I've struggled with like mental health too. And on Guam, it's still like taboo. It's just like, oh, like just get over it. Like it's just in your head. And I want to be that person that like brings that out and goes, hey, like this is just as important as your physical health. Like mental health is just super important to like your whole well-being.
Yeah. Do you see the same taboo in Guam that you see in America? Like, are they comparable?
I've noticed here that they do actually pay more attention to mental health here than on Guam. Like adults talking about mental health in classes, like the amount of times we've talked about mental health in classes is kind of mind-boggling to me, because like back on Guam, like the only people who are talking about mental health are really like the youth. The adults are just, they're kind of like those dig deep and hide it inside type of people. So I'm glad there's progress here at least.
Yeah. So speaking of being here, how did you end up at Purdue Pharmacy?
So Purdue Pharmacy, I mean, first of all, come on. Come on. This is a top 10 pharmacy school. Like, we're one of the most affordable schools in America, most affordable pharmacy schools in America. Also, I grew up here. So I have family in Indianapolis. And it's so funny because when I first came here, we took a road trip to my old house. Like, someone else lives there now, but I was looking at it and I was like, oh my gosh, I remember my brother like running around the house or trying to jump out like one of like the first floor windows because because he was just being like a naughty kid. But I don't know, I think I don't know, it kind of comes in full circle, you know, you're born in Indiana, moved to Guam, come back to Indiana, like I had to come back.
Yeah, yeah.
So Purdue was like one of those avenues that I could come back and see like my family again, and also like just the program here. It's like it's good for like learning how to like talk to people like as a pharmacist, and that I feel like not a lot of other pharmacies have. Like a lot of pharmacies are kind of just like they're trying to pump out as many pharmacists as possible, like just because the amount of pharmacy schools popping up across America is crazy.
Right.
Yeah, but I feel like Purdue, like they actually care about what kind of counseling, what kind of care we give as like pharmacists. Like we actually can bring compassion and empathy into our care. And I think that's like really important for me. Like I value those things. So yeah.
So your journey from Guam to Purdue is just so amazing. I moved here from Rhode Island. I know I had my own fair of challenges, and that was within the United States. So I can only imagine how difficult it must have been for you. Could you walk us through how the Office of Student Services helped you make this journey?
So this is a really interesting story. So when I first applied for Purdue Pharmacy, I absolutely missed the virtual interview time. Absolutely missed it. Like I was devastated. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to buy a $3,000 round trip ticket to come here to do an in-person interview and then come back. And I was so devastated. I called the OSS. So the person who answered was Miss Jennifer Ulatosh, amazing woman. I was like I think I emailed her first, actually. I emailed her and I was like, hi, I'm so sorry. I missed the virtual interview. I'm willing to fly there. Is there any way I can get an in-person interview? And she was like, oh, wait, hold on. I think I can arrange something for you. And it was like the longest wait. It was like a few days before she got back to me. I was like, I'm never going to Purdue. I'm just going to accept it. I'm going to Hawaii. And then she calls me. It's 4 a.m. again. She calls me and she goes, Maurine, I was able to get you a virtual interview with Mr. Steve Mizak and Dr. Patty Derbyshire. And I was like, thank you so much. I'm going to cry. So I am so grateful to Miss Ulatosh, because literally if it wasn't for her, I would not be here. I would not be sitting here. I would not be in this pharmacy. I don't even know if I'd even be in pharmacy school, actually. I'd probably wait another year to try to apply here again. So I did the interview with Mr. Steve Mizak and Dr. Patty Derbyshire, and it was so funny because they were just chilling, relaxing. It was like 5 p.m. here, and it was 3 a.m. from my end. And I was like in my business professional clothes in my room, just shaking the entire time. Like, yeah, I really love pharmacy. Like, it's so, and and they said I did, or like they didn't say I did a good job, but they're just like, oh, okay, what are you doing for the rest of the day? And I'm like, oh, I'm going back to sleep. It's 4 a.m. And they're like, how are you awake? But yeah, I think even with Mr. Steve Mizak, first of all, he was my interviewer. He is my advisor. He is just someone who's so approachable that, like, I think in my first semester I was having a lot of problems with my mental health and like depression and stuff, and the fact that I moved 7,000 miles from home and I came here with no friends, no connections, knew no one. It was really tough, really tough for me. So I went to him and like vented about it, and he was just so amazing. Like he would like ask me about like, oh, how was I feeling? He would check up on me. Like I think like a few weeks ago he texted me and he was like, hey, are you doing okay? And I'm like, Mr. Mizak. And he also, since he knew that I was struggling with like depression, he was the one who connected me with CAPS, the psychological services here. Like they set me up with like a social worker that I was able to talk to for a few months, and she helped me like find a therapist in the area that like accepted my insurance. And I mean, yeah, like I feel so much better now compared to when I my first semester here. So I'm really thankful for Mr. Mizak and like the Purdue Caps like system for being able to like help me focus on my mental health and also, you know, go to school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So I know that you had said, like, when you got here, you struggled trying to connect with everybody. Purdue Pharmacy family is really something that we emphasize here. Have you found yours? And, like, how would you define it?
Oh, absolutely. I have definitely found my Purdue Pharmacy family, or family. Yeah, like it was so weird because, like, you know, as the outsider, I kind of have to, like, push a little harder to, like, find friends. I think the first friend I made was John Tan, because we were both transfers. I think, orientation. Orientation was such a big part of my pharmacy journey. Like, when they made that little one day where it's like all the transfer students like meeting each other and having like a day to like go out and eat and like travel the campus and stuff, we literally hang out all the time. That is my main friend group. It is just transfer students and then other Purdue people that we've kind of just like grabbed and thrown in. It's, yeah, like, these are the type of people, like, even though we are from like different places, different parts of the world, like, these are people that I know that they have my back. Like, I can go to them if I need help with homework or if I just need someone to talk to about like my life and my struggles, and they know that they can come to me if they need help too. And it's just, I think that's one of the biggest things that I value being in Purdue Pharmacy too, because we're, you know, like the schools that are just like, oh, we're a big happy family, and it's like kind of corny. But like here, it's like actually like, I would see these people as like my closest friends, my brothers and sisters. Like I'm probably gonna be like bullying John like 5 years after graduation. So I'm really grateful that that the community here is so nice and just so friendly, and it kind of made me feel at home, even though I'm just so far away from like my actual home.
Yeah, I know that's something I can relate to too. I didn't know anyone when I first got to Purdue. I got here before you did, but so by the time you were here, I had time to meet people. But I remember those first couple years, like trying to figure everything out in the middle of the pandemic, trying to meet people, but you can't see the bottom half of their face.
Yeah, so you're just guessing, or like when they wear the mask?
Yeah, when they took the mask off, I was like, that's what your face looks like? I was like, put it back on. I have a different picture in my head.
You have a beard?
That was my biggest thing. I was like, you have a mustache. It was an interesting time.
Yeah.
But I love how you were able to connect with people and make those like lasting friendships. That's amazing.
Thank you.
All right. So we've kind of touched upon it already, how you love pharmacy, but what areas of pharmacy are you most interested in after graduation?
Definitely mental health and substance use disorder. It's just, again, like I have personally, I've experienced like issues with mental health. A lot of my friends have issues with mental health, or at least like they've found like barriers to where like it comes to the point where we can't even like study. Like it's just, we're so burnt out or just so like sad. That I think it's like, my soapbox is that I think everyone should go to therapy. You don't have to have like a diagnosable like disorder or whatever. Like you can go to a therapist to talk about your life, talk about your work life, talk about your relationship. Like it's just, therapy is just like a place where you can kind of sort out your ideas and also address those negative thoughts that you have in your head. Because sometimes when people say like really mean things to you, it sticks like in your head, and not a lot of people realize that those intrusive negative thoughts in their head is actually just from someone else that told it to them, and they're just holding on to that. So mental health, I think, is really important because it helps you address how you think about yourself and how you can like, how to look at yourself in a more positive light than being so like self-critical, and like so many people are so negative about themselves, and I think it's really important to address that and, you know, fix it gradually.
Yeah. I also agree. I think that's like one of the most important things is like looking inwards and like trying to use that to better yourselves and better the community around you.
Yeah.
So now I know we also kind of touched on this too, but do you have any final pieces of advice for current or future students?
Any final advice? I think for future students, like, there's such thing as a work-life balance. There is such thing. Like, you do not have to slave yourself over studying and studying and studying and studying. And there's also like a thing where like you shouldn't be partying every single day. Like, finding your time management and finding your work-life balance is very important. And if you don't know how to do that yet, that's okay, because when you get into pharmacy school, you're kind of forced to. You're kind of forced to learn how to balance those two things. And it's really important because if you don't have one, you can't really do the other. Like, if I don't have like at least like one social day in like the week, like the weekend or something, I will not be able to focus on school because I'll just feel so burned out, and vice versa. Like, if I'm just partying all the time, obviously I'm not going to be able to like focus on school. So definitely finding that balance and finding the best ways to organize yourself is the best piece of advice I can give to like any student.
Yeah, all right. Well, I appreciate that. I have one more question for you, arguably the most important question of this entire interview.
Okay.
What is your favorite type of ice cream?
Oh my. Oh my gosh, I love ice cream. This is going to be controversial. It is mint chocolate.
I love
ice
mint
cream.
chocolate.
I love mint chocolate. Anyone who's just like, oh, mint chocolate is gross, it's like eating toothpaste, is wrong. Okay? Is wrong. It's absolutely wrong. Mint chocolate, I will get every single time, and no one can stop me. That is all.
I love that. I love that. One of my best friends hates mint ice cream, and so I used to make a point of getting it every time we were in a dining hall together, just to see that controversy on her face.
It is so good. It's so good. Like, they're just missing out. More for me.
So true.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Maureen, thank you so much for being here today and for sharing your story. I'm sure our audience really appreciates it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.